Join now with Chris Sims from NBC Sports. Chris, thank you so very much for taking the time. A lot of people here in New Orleans are excited about this conversation, and I don't know if it's good excitement, nervous excitement, but you obviously have done a tremendous job ranking the NFL quarterbacks 1 to 40, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. We're going to start with the elephant in the room. Drew Brees at number 16. Before we just kind of do a deep dive into it, just your rationale and reasoning for the guy that is beloved here in our city at number 16, which seems a little low for number 9.
Well, I get it. I understand that. And again, I think first off, for everybody out there, this is not an all-time ranking. I realize Drew Brees is one of the greatest to ever play the position of quarterback. I'd also, Drew Brees, yes. Do I think he's the number 16 quarterback in football in the NFL? Yes, I do. But does that mean he can't be successful still and bring the Saints to a Super Bowl and do everything that a Saints fan wants? No. He certainly can do all those things. But I think with the age we're talking about with Drew Brees right now, at this point of his career, yes, I don't think he's, physical skills are declining, for one, as we've seen. We know there is some issues sometimes pushing the ball down the field, making throws outside the numbers. That's why they bring in Taysom Hill. And between that and, yes, I think his ability to maybe carry the team through tough spots with just his great ability, like he could maybe 4 or 5 years ago. No, I think those days are gone. I think a little bit of success, certainly at this point, is a little more predicated on Sean Payton's ability to get people open. He's still very accurate. He really knows how to play the position. We know that, all of that. But I think, we've seen against some of the top-tier defenses, especially we get in the playoffs, you take away some of the shorter completions, some of the, magic of the Sean Payton offense. Drew Brees struggles in some of those moments. And, my last point to just defend it, and, again, I don't sit here proud, like going, oh, I made Drew Brees 16, eat that, New Orleans. No, I don't like that. It's like, I like this exercise, but I realize I'm talking about guys like Brady and Brees who are all-time greats, and I'm kind of giving them a less than great look. But here would be my big point more than anything. Really, if Drew Brees was still a top 5 or a top 10 quarterback in football, the New Orleans Saints wouldn't be moving on to Taysom Hill for the 2021 season. And I understand, maybe if Drew Brees wanted to come back, maybe he could make that happen. But I think they're telling you and giving you the ultimate sign to go, hey, we still think he's really good, but he's no longer top 5 or top 10, or we wouldn't be moving on. We would have signed a longer contract. We wouldn't be trying to move on to the Taysom Hill era. So those would be some of the things that I use. Sorry for the long answer, and go ahead, pick me apart now.
No, let me just tell you right now, my questions have a hang time of about a minute. I am a big talker, so I love long answers because I have long questions. And I feel like that's why we're doing this exercise, as you referred to it as. I would say just counterpoint here is that
Sure.
I don't think the Saints are moving on from Drew Brees as much as Drew Brees is maybe contemplating moving on from football. It's not the Saints pushing him out the door as much as it is him wanting to spend more family time with his family and wondering if this is still do I still have the juices? Do I still have the fire that burns for this game? Secondly, Taysom Hill was brought in and has thrown 2 deep passes. He threw 1 against Minnesota during the regular season in 2018, 1 last year in the playoff game. I would say that it's not like they bring him in a dozen times a game to air it out. And the
Sure.
third point I would say is that I looked this up because I watched your podcast, and obviously we're an NBC affiliate and you're at the NBC network, is
Right.
that Sean Payton's offense has been predicated on, completion percentage and high efficiency, that when the Saints won the Super Bowl, Drew Brees was 22nd on deep balls, passes 20 yards or more. In 15 years here, the Saints have never been in the top half of deep balls, 20 or more yards
Sure.
down the field. So it wasn't like they were some air it out offense
No.
bombs away. And yet they have always been in the top 10 in points per game. So I feel like you could probably look at me and say I'm a victim of nostalgia, so to say, that I remember Brees in his prime. But could I also maybe say, and I mean this in a nice way, do we think familiarity breeds contempt a little bit because we've seen them do it so consistently for so long with no drop off, that maybe, the shiny new toy gets put above him in some way? And sorry for the
Well,
long
sure.
question there. Yeah.
I know, but I think that's a fair assessment, and I don't disagree with really a lot of what you said. I understand what you're saying. The numbers will bear out as far as deep pass attempts, deep pass completions. They have gone down, but you're right, and they've gone down remarkably over the last 2 seasons. Like they've really fallen off a cliff. But I'm not going to argue it. You're right. It's always been about an offensive efficiency. 6-yard pass, 7-yard pass, 10-yard pass, keeping your offense, in great positions. I understand that, but where I would argue too, and this is where the context of the stats matter at times, is there was more of a threat from defenses from Drew Brees' ability to push the ball down the field back in those days, to at least where they had to think about it and were worried about it. And I think also into that, Sean Payton was more apt to dial up some more aggressive pass plays in general. Not that they always ended up being 50-yard bombs, but they were more aggressive in scheme. And yeah, Drew Brees might have gone to the underneath throw and made it 5 or 10-yard pass or whatever, but the scheme itself also got some of that underneath people open because Drew Brees still had the ability to push the ball down the field and scare you. But I understand. Yes, that's not the name of his game. I get that. And again, a lot of the things you say true, certainly, and Taysom Hill, yes, we don't know quite what he is yet, but we do know that we have a head coach who is, been one of the best offensive minds in the sport for the last 20 years per se. And he sees a guy that he goes, whoa, I got something here. Certainly. So I understand you're right. I'm not trying to say they're pushing Drew Brees out the door, but I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is. I think Drew realizes the writing on the wall. I think New Orleans also realizes that too. So they're kind of come to like a cohesive decision to move on and go forward from there. But again, I think Drew Brees, I know all-time great. I just think what I will argue with you more than anything right now is physical skills diminish. The ability to scare defense is not quite the same. Yes, can still be really efficient and do all of those things, but efficiency doesn't always win you games, especially late in the playoffs against when you start to play the better defenses, where I want to go, you got to make a good defense defend the whole field. And I think that's why we've seen some less than type performances from that same offense the last few years, because of some of those elements that we're talking about. And, again, and this is not a knock on Drew Brees, but, also he's got a good team around him, one of the best offensive lines in football. We know it's one of the best receivers, one of the better running back groups. The defense is pretty damn good. So there's a lot there, too, to support, too, to where I would go, listen, we could put a lot of quarterbacks in New Orleans, and I think they could throw to that 70% range and still really open our eyes with stats. And I know that doesn't sound good, and I know it sounds like I'm taking a knock at Drew, but I'm just trying to that's my reality of the situation. That's just what I believe. And listen, we did see Teddy Bridgewater come in last year and go 5-0, and he really hadn't played in a long time. And at the end of game 2, we started going, man, Teddy looks pretty good in this offense. Man, Teddy's pretty good. So I think you have to take that into account too. So it's a tough discussion. I get it. And I know it rubs some people the wrong way. And trust me, I've seen my social media. New Orleans fans love crapping all over me. And I know they're a little angry about this.
All right. I have 3 more questions. One more about Brees and then just about the Saints in general here.
Sure.
I think Saints fans, when we saw I'm born and raised in New Orleans, but I cover the team. So I am a New Orleanian. When Saints fans saw Matt Ryan in front of Drew Brees, I mean, that just made everybody cringe. But I think that's one that I think people could stomach. I think the one that may have thrown people for a loop is, I think you know where I'm going with this, is Cam Newton, who missed all last season with injury, who the year before struggled mightily as a pocket passer and less of a runner. I guess the logic I understand Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan's a great quarterback. I know in New Orleans, people here give him grief. He's got a great weaponry around him. But Cam in front of Drew, and just maybe the thought process behind that, because that one jumped out at me, is maybe he's not even with the team right now.
Yeah, well, that's not his fault. He got put in a very tough spot there where he was screwed over by the Carolina Panthers, to where all the seats were filled at the quarterback position in NFL football, basically. except for 2 or 3 teams who we knew were in the top 10 drafting a quarterback discussion too. So, there's a lot of things to go in this. But either way, with Cam Newton, definitely one of the toughest guys I had to place through this. You're right. Injury concerns, they're there. I'm doing this list as I'm a head coach. My butt's on the hot seat. And here's my pecking order of quarterbacks. Now, I think Cam Newton, with the stage he's at in his life and only being, 31, 32 years old, in this day and age in the NFL, you're a spring chicken. I mean, as we're seeing from Drew Brees, he's still awesome. And at 40, Brady, all these guys, I think we're going to continue to see this. Now, where I push back with you is 2 years ago as a pocket passer, he was very special until he tore his shoulder. And then he tried to continue to play with that at the end of the season, and it didn't look very good. But between what I've seen and what I know from people behind the scenes, and we've seen some on social media with him throwing to Odell Beckham Jr., I'm going to say he's going to be healthy. And 2020, with all the medicine around and the fact that he's Cam Newton, he's one of the more physically gifted guys we've ever seen in football. Yes, I am going to put him there at 10. I am confident he's going to be healthy and be able to help a team whenever he gets that opportunity. But with Cam Newton too, listen, here's the other thing. There's a reason he's won MVP in football. There's a reason that, Carolina is relevant almost every year, because Cam Newton does things, again, that can't be quantified with stats. The pressure he puts on a defense by making you defend so many different things on a play-by-play basis. Is he going to keep it around the edge? Is he going to keep it up the middle? Is it going to be, a read option type play? Are they just going to run a normal play? Oh, man, is he going to stand in the pocket and take a 7-step drop and throw a 60-yard laser down the field? Whoa, maybe he'll throw a 20-yard out route. So much of Carolina's success and their offense is just predicated on his pure physical ability. And I did think before the injury, he had turned the corner on playing the quarterback position a little bit. A lot of it, I should say. Norv Turner got him away from being so greedy and looking down the field and patting the ball 10 times. He taught him what Drew Brees knows and does so well, which is, hey, don't sit there forever. Every now and then take the underneath pass and go from there. But Cam Newton's, the pressure he puts on the defense, he handcuffs the defense by making them play only a certain amount of schemes because of his skill set, because certain schemes will get burned because of the things he can do on the offensive side of the ball. And yes, his age and everything like that. Yeah, I think Cam Newton is one of those guys that can carry an offense in just about any system and make it go because of those skills. And I'm not saying he's better than Drew Brees all time. He's not. I know that. But I do think right now, in this day and age right here, yes, if Cam Newton gets back on the team and gets a chance to start, I believe he's going to prove to everybody that he is a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah. Okay. Taysom Hill, he was in your top 40. We've talked about him, kind of just touched on him a little bit. Your thoughts, because there's no doubt, in full disclosure here, Taysom Hill was part of our TV station last year. He did a weekly segment at our TV station. So I am Team Taysom. But even if he hadn't been affiliated with us in some way, I still believe what Sean Payton is selling. That right. I don't think Sean Payton, this is some bluff, or he's trying to bait a team into giving him a first-round draft pick to sign Taysom Hill in free agency. I think when Drew Brees retires, they're giving Taysom Hill the keys to the car, and they're not going to have any reservations doing it. Is he going to be good? I don't know, but I think they have enough confidence to give him the opportunity to be good. Just your overall thoughts on Taysom Hill in potentially replacing Drew Brees.
Yeah, well, I think everything you said is correct. I mean, I think all signs point to this. Yeah, this is a brand new red Ferrari. That's how Sean Payton looks at his offense. And Drew Brees has kept it clean without a scratch for a long, long time. And now he's going to trust Taysom Hill to do it too. Do we have questions about him? Certainly. I mean, we do. But yeah, we'd love to see him play the position more. Does he understand all the intricacies of the position, how to play situational football? We haven't seen him do anything consistently. But the one thing we've seen, in the regular season, in the preseason, we've seen improved pocket passing from him. That's for sure, especially last preseason, which gave me enough confidence last year to go, ooh, wait, they're onto something. This guy has gone from just being an athlete with a strong arm. He's sitting in the pocket, making the right decisions, making the appropriate throws as far as when to leave touch, when to drive the ball. The physical skills are amazing by Taysom Hill. He has superstar skills. And I think the big thing, too, and we just talked about this a little bit with Cam Newton, right, is, again, you're not going to be able to quantify what a weapon like that can do to a defense, especially with a creative offensive game plan designer like Sean Payton. He's going to be able to do things that, with Taysom Hill that he can never do with Drew Brees, the run game and all of those type of things, maybe a little bit more aggressive game planning, passes down the field, all of that type of stuff, to where I'm sure that excites him a little bit. It's a new challenge for Sean Payton. Wow, I got a new toy, and I got to figure out a new way to play with this guy. But I think his skill set is made for this modern day NFL, and it looks like he's got the drop back pass game, make the right decision, get the ball to the right guy thing, certainly going in the right direction, that it's given me the confidence to go, okay, yeah, what Drew's done, give the keys to Taysom. I'm excited to see what he's got.
All right, and final question here. Thank you so much for your time. Your thoughts overall on the Saints this year? I mean, obviously, look, the bounce back year in 2017, the Minnesota Miracle ended it all. 2018, home field advantage, the Nola no call. Last year, if they beat San Francisco, they're the number 1 seed. They fall to 3. They get upset by Minnesota. Their roster is still deep. I'm under the belief that Brees, this is going to be a last dance type deal, that if he's going out on top, MJ style. Just your thoughts on the Saints in what is a really loaded NFC again.
It is. It's a loaded NFC, but listen, I get a bad rap in New Orleans. I know, hey, listen, you call me an idiot, whatever you want. The one thing I've been saying, I'm a Saints fan. I love the way Sean Payton coaches the football team. I know everybody's tried to make me into a Saints hater because of some of the things and my opinions on Drew Brees. But I have the ultimate respect for the Saints and Drew Brees and the way they play the football game. I mean, Sean Payton's team's physically tough on both sides of the ball, win the battle in the trenches more times than not, which is why, again, I'm going to sit here and go, yeah, I know the NFC is deep, but I still think the NFC, one of the top teams is the New Orleans Saints. I just look at it and go, okay, top 5 offensive line, in the conversation for a top 5 defensive line. I think there's some talent in the secondary. You get Emmanuel Sanders to go along with Michael Thomas and Jared Cook, and it's a big year for Alvin Kamara. And I just look at it and go, yeah, most teams might have melted away a little bit after some of these playoff losses that you mentioned that the Saints have had. But I don't think that's going to happen with this team. I think it's very tested. And with a guy like Sean Payton and Drew Brees and, Cameron Jordan and Michael Thomas, who seem psycho, stubborn, and working hard and tough, and I mean that with all due respect because that's the way you're supposed to be, I just think they're going to continue to trudge forward. They're not going to feel sorry for themselves, and they're going to keep their eye on the prize, which is the Super Bowl. And I really think they will be a Super Bowl contending team. I know it's all great and cool. Tom Brady's in the Buccaneers and all of that. Hey, I'm excited for that too. That was still the worst defense in football last year, so they got a lot of questions that need to be answered to me. I got to see Brady working Bruce Arians' offense, and the Saints are a proven commodity. So I don't think the Saints are going anywhere. All they need to do is get in the playoffs. If they get in the playoffs, I don't care if they're the 5th seed, the 6th seed, the 1 seed, they'll be dangerous, and they'll be a handful for anybody to get them out of there.
All right, Chris Sims, this was fascinating. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you this season in New Orleans. I will buy you a coffee or a beverage, even though some of the other Who Dat Nation will not. First drink, first coffee's on me. And Drew Brees will be your teammate soon at NBC. Yes. So we look forward to seeing him and on NBC whenever he retires, but definitely not this year. But again, thank you so much for taking a few minutes and in discussing your quarterback rankings in the Saints in general.
No, thanks a lot. It was a good discussion. I appreciate that. I got a lot of respect for the Who Dat Nation. I'll be scared when I go get that coffee, but now that I got you, you could be my bodyguard and keep the people off me so they don't beat me up or anything.
All right, cool deal. 5'10", 150. I'll be the best bodyguard ever.
Okay, sounds good. See you, man.
All right.